I wanted to talk to you about your latest maneuver here on the COVID-19 second wave. You've called for a 3-week lockdown. And I want to know, first, the initial reaction from Greeks, because they did follow the rules of the government in the last wave. Will you get that same sort of support, or is there fatigue? And also, how do you balance the lockdown with trying to keep the economy moving, Prime Minister? This is crucial at this time.
These are difficult decisions, and everybody wanted to avoid a full lockdown. But I think it's happening more or less everywhere in Europe. And we took the decision probably earlier than other countries. By earlier, I mean when we got the first indications of exponential growth, we took the decision to put the country on lockdown for 3 weeks. We were ahead of the curve in March. We did remarkably well during the first wave. But the second wave has hit us all with much greater strength. And in that respect, what we're doing now was the only solution to make sure that we won't have pressure on our healthcare system, which would at some point cause us real difficulties. But it's the same. The same is happening everywhere. We're still doing better than most European countries, but I had to take the decision now because I knew I probably would be forced to take it at some point. I prefer to do it now, have it for 3 weeks, have it act as a circuit breaker. Hopefully, we'll reopen in December to make sure that we salvage something from the Christmas season. And of course, we've supported the economy. We've pumped a lot of money into the real economy, supporting businesses and especially workers by picking up through furlough schemes, by picking up their wages. The fact that Greece now has a lot of credibility and allows us to borrow on the international capital markets with record low interest rates, as you know, gives us the liquidity cushion to support the real economy, which is what every country, frankly, needs to do in these extraordinary circumstances. And of course, we're also looking at Europe to quickly finalize the details of the Recovery and Resilience Fund. So come 2021, we'll have access to significant European funds to help us restart the economy and have the economy grow again. But I also want to point out that in the midst of the crisis, we've had significant foreign interest for investments in Greece. And I'm not just talking about interest in traditional sectors, such as, for example, hotels and tourism, where we see a lot of interest also from Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi Capital has invested, for example, in fish farms, cutting-edge technology in terms of food supply. Microsoft announced a huge investment in building 3 big data centers in Greece. Volkswagen, a few days ago, signed an MOU with the Greek government to turn one of our islands into a prototype smart mobility island. Really cutting-edge work in technology, in green transformation, in sectors where we think Greece should really take a leadership, and where we also see lots of synergies with the Arab world, especially issues around clean tech, around food security. These are areas where we can do much more in terms of cooperating with capital from the Gulf.
I was going to ask you, in fact, is the COVID-19 pandemic masking what is a very promising window for recovery with some $37 billion earmarked from the EU Recovery Fund? That should give you a good foundation once you get through the second wave.
It will happen, Don. I'm sure that the recovery is going to be very robust. And as soon as we're going to have a vaccine, and I'm confident that we will have good news soon, and as you know, the European Union has signed vaccine deals with all promising companies. What I notice also in Greece is that savings go up. So I think people will be looking to spend once the pandemic is over, and businesses will be looking to invest. And the smart businesses are already investing because they know that the pandemic is going to be over. They know that Greece has a reliable, pro-business, reform-oriented government. They know the opportunities in Greece. So they're eager to place their chips now, even before the pandemic actually comes to an end. That's what smart investors do. They're ahead of the curve.
Well, in fact, we saw Microsoft make a move, Pfizer setting up a research center, Volkswagen working on autonomous vehicles here. You're approaching foreign direct investment in a very different way. So green technology, for example, high-tech startups out of Athens and Thessaloniki.
Yeah, we just had
previous prime minister.
Yeah, we just had a recent acquisition by a leading American company of our leading Greek high-tech data center. We've had acquisitions of startups in Greece for these are very significant investments. So there is a high-tech ecosystem that is actually emerging out of Greece. And of course, we have a significant advantage, John. We have so many talented Greeks abroad who are actually looking to return to Greece, provided Greece offers good job opportunities. And in the post-COVID world, there will be winners and losers. I'm convinced about that. I'm pretty sure Greece is going to be on the side of the winners. And in an environment where you can work out of anywhere, why not work out of Greece? At a time, Greece is a safe, connected country. We're going to be one of the first countries to launch 5G, one of the first countries to complete our 5G auctions. We're a member of the European Union. We are ideally situated at the crossroads of 3 continents, which is particularly relevant also from people in the Gulf, but also people from Eastern Africa. So I intend to make this a success story. COVID has derailed everyone, but I see the opportunities behind this crisis. And for the first time, we've also been able to mobilize significant European public capital. The European Union is borrowing as a supranational entity to support member states. So, of course, I have to deal with day-to-day crisis, and it is very tiring and very difficult to track this virus that keeps surprising us. But at the same time, I keep my eye on the medium and the long term. We're implementing very meaningful reforms to make sure that once we're done with COVID, the Greek economy is going to take off.
You mentioned 5G and the concerns that America has, and Europe for that matter, on Chinese technology and data control. Will you follow the European Union line and go with a European company because of those concerns with China and Huawei, for example?
Look, first of all, our operators are European companies, so we don't have any Greek operators, and they make the decisions at the end of the day. We will follow, I'd say, the European path, and you'd expect us to follow the European mainstream on this issue. But we're going to be one of the first countries to launch 5G. We've also been rather innovative. We will use part of the proceeds from 5G to set up a specific equity fund that will co-invest in 5G applications. So we don't sort of pump everything into the public budget, because we see the potential of Greece as a country that can play its own role in the high-tech ecosystem.
One final question for you, Prime Minister. What did you learn through the experience of that gradual opening in the summer to allow visitors to come in, measured, mainly Europeans, over time? And what will you apply to the next summer, having faced down COVID and not knowing when vaccines roll out?
Look, we opened up to tourism by taking all the precautions. We had extremely limited transmission from visitors into the country. We were very sophisticated in terms of who we tested. We used very sophisticated algorithms in terms of who we actually tested. So we actually were innovative in terms of big data and machine learning solutions in addressing the testing problem. The second wave of the epidemic essentially hit us after we finished with our tourism season. So there was no correlation between what we did. But hopefully by next summer, the root cause of the problem will have been addressed, because otherwise there will be reluctance from people to travel. We'll be smarter by then. There'll be more testing. We'll be even smarter in terms of how we handle the problem. But we need to address the root cause, and the root cause of the problem is only going to be significant and very quick vaccination of the European population, so that they can actually travel safely. And I do hope that if the news from the companies are successful, that by spring or by summer, people will be able to travel safely. We've done all the preparatory work in terms of our supply chains and making sure that once we get the vaccines, we will vaccinate our populations very quickly. We're very quick in terms of vaccinating. We'll be vaccinating almost half of the Greek population against the flu. There is no anti-vaccination movement in Greece, thank God. People were actually quite eager to get vaccinated against the flu, and I'm sure the same will happen with COVID. I told people I'll be the first to do the COVID vaccine, not because I want to be the first to be protected, but because we need to send a signal that if the vaccines are actually approved by the companies, that they're definitely safe and effective.
I appreciate all the time, and it's great to have you for the EU Arab Forum and also for our on-air work. It's great to have you. It's terrific.
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Excellent.
Take care.